Okay, so welcome you all to this new session. And my name is Bharat Rathod. I'm a founder and coordinator of this group, Bahujan Scholar Group. So Bahujan Scholar Group is basically created 3 years ago here in North America. And this group has many members from particularly Bahujan communities and certainly people, those who are doing other kind of work like faculty and in different graduate programs. But this group is only for the scholars, those who are outside India, not in India. So we have around more than 70 scholars currently. And every month we do a monthly online event like this one on educational activism and political issue. So our main goal is to provide support and also creating a group mentoring for Bahujan scholars. So thank you all for participating in this event. And today we have two fantastic panelists, uh, Raju Chalwadi and Palomi Pal. So I would start with Raju. Let me introduce Raju. So Raju Chalwadi has recently submitted his PhD Sociology in IIT Mumbai. His, please mute your microphone. Please, all. Sorry. Yeah. His research interest falls at the intersection of caste, space, Dalit, and urban life. For the academic year of 2023, Raju was a Fulbright Nehru Doctoral Research Fellow at the University of California, Santa Cruz. His writings in the form of research articles have appeared in South Asia Research, EPW, and as book chapter in Pilgrim and Macmillan and Polity Press. So Raju, you will have 15 minutes, to present and share your ideas, and then we will go back to Palomi. Okay, please, Raju.
Thank you. Yeah, I'll just share my screen. Okay. I think I have to remove this. Okay,
Yeah.
the screen is visible now?
Yes. Yeah. Please go ahead. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you, Bharat, for the opportunity and to present my experience of during my Fulbright stint in the US and for the Bahujan Scholar Group also. So I have 15 minutes. I'll directly jump into the PPT that I have prepared today for the presentation. Very broadly, to begin with, Indian students who are registered in any Indian university for a doctoral program has broadly three prestigious opportunities to go for an exchange program for writing their dissertation. These are Commonwealth Fellowship, those are interested in the UK, Dart Fellowship for PhD students who are interested to go to a German university, and finally the Fulbright Nehru for those whom US universities are suited better for their research. So today we'll talk about the third, the Fulbright Nehru Doctoral Research Fellowship, for which I was in the cohort in the batch 2022 and 23. What is Fulbright Nehru Doctoral Research Fellowship? Who are eligible? So any Indian student who are registered for a PhD program in any Indian universities are eligible for it. It is not a degree program, but an exchange program, a writing fellowship, where it is expected that you join a US university of your choice and you write on your dissertation. It allows student to spend anywhere between 6 to 9 months to stay in US university. 6 is the minimum and 9 is a maximum. Of course, there's 1 month of grace period, but which is without fellowship. Each year, the application begins in February and runs through July of that year. And on the website, it is written that applicants who are in the early stage of PhD are eligible to apply. But when I went for the fellowship, I was in the fourth year of my PhD. After the fourth year of my PhD, which means when they say early stage, it means basically they are not talking about the year of your PhD, but more of the stage of your PhD. So applicant in the past that I know from humanities and social science background who have applied for this fellowship broadly falls into the three categories of students who are interested. First, those whose part of fieldwork is to be done in the US. For example, if there is anyone who is studying uh, life of South Asian or life of Indians in the US, so for them, this fellowship is most suited because they have to do fieldwork, and Indian university might not be able to afford the fieldwork expenses. For them, this is a good opportunity. Second are for those who specifically need to access resources in the US. Access can be in the form of, say, specifically archival or access to some old documents. Here, access can also mean faculty. Resource can also mean faculty. That if there is a faculty which is who is close to your work, who is interested in your work, but he's far away, so you can go and get host in his university, and you can be closer to the faculty so that he can be continually can guide you. And finally, for those who have already conducted their fieldwork in India and planning to write their dissertation. So for me, I fall into the second and the third category. As such, I had a faculty in the US whose research was very close to my research. And also I had done fieldwork and I wanted a space to write my chapter. So as this is a writing fellowship, only students who have PhD scholars who have completed their field work and are waiting to write chapter, chances are much higher for these people for who are done with their field work and just want a space to sit and write their dissertation. What is needed to apply? So first and most importantly, we need 3 reference letter, out of which one should be your from PhD supervisor, and he or she must comment on your work and usefulness of the fellowship. So while writing the reference letter, you have to inform your supervisor that he has to comment on your work and why he thinks or she thinks that it is you, how this fellowship will help you advance your research work. So in my case, I took one letter from my PhD advisor and 2 more from my PhD panel member. Generally, what I've seen scholars doing is to take a reference letter from scholar who is particularly big in their field, but may or may not necessarily know fully about your research work. So in that case, it might become a problem. So it's better to take a letter from those who are very well known about your research and who knows you who knows you in and out about you and your research, so that they can write a very coherent and very informed reference letter. So in that sense, PhD, apart from your PhD advisor, the PhD panel members, I think, are the best suited people. So I mailed them a month in advance, so always to avoid last minute taking. Apart from just sending, asking them, I mean, instead of just asking them to write a recommendation letter, we can send them a CV, which you have to prepare for the application, and also a research outline mentioning the progress of your work and why the fellowship is needed. And sending both these documents help them to write a much more detailed recommendation outlining your research progress or contribution. So this is our responsibility that we provide as much as information to faculties and people who are willing to write recommendation for you. You need to prepare a CV. This is a second document that they need. On the website, it says that CV should describe academic credentials and demonstrate a record of scholarly achievement. What I understood by academic credentials and scholarly achievement is the research output that you have produced. And so in terms of research output, so broadly there are 2 things. Research output can be the presentations that you have done based on your PhD research, presentation in conference and seminar, and in terms of publication. So when I had applied, I had attended 2 international conferences. I had one paper which was accepted for publication, 2 book review, and few public writings. So I think apart from your PhD research, we also have to show that there is a research output, that we have produced research output and it is out in the market. Then we need a writing sample which should not exceed 20 pages. This can either be published paper or a presented paper or an extract from an MA/MPhil thesis. So I think it's always better to submit either a paper that you've presented in the conference or the paper which has already been published, because reducing your MA and MPhil thesis into 20 page is again a very huge task. It might take 10-20 days more. So to avoid that, it's always better to submit a conference paper or the paper which has been come up. Again, last but also important, they need a letters of invitation from a host institution in the US. While applying in the application stage, you will be asked, I mean, there will be a section where they will say that you can upload at maximum of 3 invitation letter from a US faculty. Again, this is not compulsory, but it's desirable to have it. But again, I know people in my cohort who did not got letter of invitation even after interview, but even then they got selected for the fellowship. So letter of invitation is not a deciding factor as such, but it's always good if you have it. So in my case, I knew a faculty who was close to my work, who was kind of have been reading my chapter. So when I asked him for a letter, so he swiftly gave it. So this is the thing. So you need, so one or two. So when during interview, I had 2 invitation letter, one from a public university, one from a private university. Again, we also have to give preferences of 3 universities in which we would like to go and spend our time. Mostly, people usually prefer giving name of public universities because they charge very less tuition fee as compared to private universities in the US. Unless it is very necessary for you to go to a private university. For in my case, it was in a public university where the faculty was situated. So I gave my first preference was public university. Then they require 2 documents which are very important apart from recommendation letter and letter of invitations are a personal statement, and there is a thing study.
Please hold on, Raju. Please mute all participants. Please mute your microphone. Otherwise, I would remove you from the group. Raju, go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah. So will require personal statement, and we also need a research objective statement. Again, these 2 documents should not be more than 2 pages. For personal statement, the prospectus says that a narrative statement, how you have achieved your current goal, information about things, your experience, career plans, any significance factor. And then we require study and research objective, which is again should not be more than 2 pages, 1.5 spacing, a detailed description of your research objective, and we have to give reason here for wanting to pursue them. So what I see both these documents are interrelated. So it helps to know who you are, the first document, that is your personal statement, and what you are researching and why. This is the second document, that is a research objective. So the second one, that is the study and research objective, is in a way an extension and of a continuation of a first, that is a personal statement. That's how I saw these 2 things as an interrelation, as an extension. So the research objective is an extension of a personal statement. It should flow in a narrative, it should flow in a way. So when people read your research statement, they should know, when they read your research objective, they should already be knowing that, okay, this is what he wrote in a personal statement, and that's why this particular research question interests the scholar who has applied. Let's go into detail into personal statement. So this is what has been mentioned. It's like in personal statement, we have to write who we are, what made you pursue a PhD, any life experiences, Any social or spatial or sociality surrounding that made you ask question, what larger contribution could you make from your life journey? What plans do you have, and how are your future plans shaped by the past experience and the questions that you faced? So in point B, these are the four broad themes around which I wrote my personal statement. These are family history, migration, city life, and anti-caste consciousness. Again, you have it's a personal statement, so you have to personalize here as more as possible. For instance, I mean, vaguely I remember that I mentioned that how our family migrated from Karnataka to Bombay in the early 1980s, and then the precarious situation, the economic and the social condition, and then how the Bombay riot changed the public spaces in Mumbai. So city life, and then how I developed anti-caste consciousness. So these are the three, four broad themes around which I wrote my personal statement. In a sense, moving from personal to universal, what we called in sociology as in sociological imagination. So we should be able to connect our life, and we should be able to we should be as a person who is writing should be at the center, but then we should be able to sketch these larger themes also surrounding like migration, city life. I mean, this is what I did it. So for everyone, this would be same. But again, this is the template that I did. Research objective, again, it should not be more than 2 pages. So I wrote 6 paragraphs in total. And all these 6 paragraphs, this is what I followed. So the first paragraph was a continuation from personal statement to background of research. In second paragraph, I wrote about what my research questions are. So I told them, okay, I'm interested in studying. So, okay, so my research is around how do stigmatized migrant communities build cities physically and socially. So this was my central research question. So I mentioned my research question. Third paragraph, I have to show the gap. So what is the current state of research on those questions? So I pointed out the gaps that is there in the research. For instance, not much study on caste and Dalit life has been done in the city of Bombay. So that was one of the gap. And then I work with North Indian Dalits in Mumbai, but in Mumbai, mostly the studies have been done on Maharashtrian Dalits. And there was also no neighborhood studies in Mumbai, which I mean, but almost more than 60% of Mumbai's population live in low income settlements neighborhood. So third paragraph was about this, like where I'm situating myself, my research. The fourth paragraph was about what methodologies that I've adapted. So for my research, I'm using a mixed method approach, which means in the first stage, I conducted a large scale survey, a household survey of 150 households of in the neighborhood where I'm doing research, which was then followed by ethnography, which included both participant observation and ethnographic interviews.
Raju,
And the fifth
Raju, sorry, 2 minutes to conclude. I'm sorry.
Sure, sure, sure. And then fifth was about what contribution my research is making, and sixth was about the current progress and future plan. So in a sense, the only point is that we have to some anyhow fit our research object in these two pages itself. Uh, Once your application is shortlisted, within 2 months or so, they'll write you back saying that your research has been shortlisted, and then you'll be asked to give interview. You have to go to Delhi, wherever you will be. You will have to go to Delhi, and then in my case, the questions were mainly from my field. It was not much theoretical, but for some others I've seen, I mean, they were only theoretical. So once you get selected, you have to give TOEFL exam, which is compulsory. It's an English language test, and the fees will be paid by Fulbright. You don't have to do anything. It's a TOEFL exam. You have to crack it. Again, here, if you get less than 80 marks out of 120 in TOEFL, then you will be taken to US 1 month in advance. So if you score more marks, you will not be able to spend 1 more month in the US. So that is how it is. So this is the broad thing about my cohort. So when I applied, there was about 449 people. Success rate was around 80%. 60% of them went to around public universities. Most importantly, this fellowship will help you to connect with people in the US, present your work. There will be many conferences that will be happening. You have to plan in advance, like which conference will take over, which will be happening during what period, and then present your work, build your network. And most importantly, the possibility of postdoc options. You have to be there for 9 months, so you have to find out which faculty will be interested, so that once you come back to India after finishing your research, you can again write back to them saying that you're interested in for a postdoc project if they have. Yeah, so Bharat, thank you. So this is what I have.
Thank you so much, Raju. And we will talk more in our discussion session. So now we will go to our next panelist, Palomi Pal. So Palomi has her graduation in political science from Lady Sri Ram College, University of Delhi, and subsequently earned her master MPhil and doctoral degree at JNU. She has a postgraduate diploma in Universalizing Social Security for the Poor from Institute of Social Studies, Hague, Netherlands. Palomi is also a Fulbright postdoctoral research scholar affiliated with Amherst College in Massachusetts department, mm, USA 2016-17. Her work inquired into existing models of one-stop crisis centers for survivors of gender-based violence in USA and India. So follow me, you will have 15 minutes to share your ideas on PPT. Please.
Hi, sorry, I couldn't unmute myself, so I'm
No,
really
it's all right.
sorry.
No
Yes.
problem, please. Yeah.
So, thank you so much for the invitation, and lovely to meet the participants. And I think Raju has almost kind of touched upon a lot of very, very interesting fundamental things. And I actually, it's been around 6 years since I've done my postdoc. So, a lot of these really detailed things I don't really remember. So, my suggestions and things would be really very top level, like certain things which if I were to again apply, I would keep in mind. Okay, so okay, so then, I have created really like 4, 5 slides to really talk about some of the ideas. And one of the things which, I thought that whenever you decide for a fellowship in your career trajectory, you need to understand why Fulbright. There are so many scholarships. Why is it important in your field? Why is it important to go to US? Why is it important for you to work with a particular academician? Why a particular college, university? These are things which you need to really introspect and decide much before you get into the entire process. I would say it takes a lot of dedication and hard work to really prepare. And if you have done all these steps, I think it makes it very easy. One of the things which I did, for instance, was really to understand, I knew that, okay, at a certain point in my career, I wanted to really look at this scholarship because first off, it was flexible. I could do a 2 year, I could do a 1 year. Now looking back, maybe it would have made sense to do a 2 year, but I was in the peak of my career and I wanted to get back, So that is one of the things which, looking back, I feel I should have done. So first thing for anybody who's interested in a postdoctoral, fellowship, which is Fulbright, you have to check out the website for Indian students, and look at the deadlines and work backwards. Definitely work backwards. Leave a lot of time for everything. Uh, the moment you start your application process, you should really scan through all the university courses, faculty profiles. Sometimes you will see in certain years, Fulbright scholarships for particular categories will have only certain disciplines which they fund, right? So for us, actually, I was really trying to apply for Fulbright for 1 year, and then eventually I applied in the last year, in the next year. And I saw that gender studies was something which was not in the previous year, but it was in the next year. And that is what I wanted to opt for. My two major degrees were in political science, but I wanted a degree in gender studies. And therefore, I was most keen to do this fellowship so that it added to that disciplinary, like headway for my career trajectory. So once you actually scan through all of this, you start drafting your proposal like Raju has just shared. It's not about your personal statement, also your research statement and others. But I would think the most important is your research proposal, and it should definitely go through peer review. Please ask as many of your peers, of your mentors to go through it, to give suggestions, finalize it. Then what one of my previous colleagues at work who had really pushed me to do this had asked had gotten a Fulbright actually, and she had told me that it is very important to get these letters from the university so that it really strengthens your application process. So I really followed that to the T. I actually wrote to at least 10 professors in 5 universities, just introducing myself. I sent the proposal which I wanted to develop. I was very clear what I wanted to do. One of the things which I feel is that your research has to have some linkage to why US. For me, I actually was a senior consultant with the government of India, and I had drafted a policy on one-stop crisis center. And though I have a PhD, I never wanted an academic kind of a career graph. So I have mostly worked in research institutions, NGOs, but at that time I was working for an international donor agency, and it had been my 5th year post my PhD. And that is something you need to keep in mind. For a Fulbright postdoc, you have to apply you can't apply in your 6th year after your PhD. So please keep that timeline in mind, otherwise you're not eligible. So when I so that's why also I thought it was interesting to look at the US, because I wanted to see how the one-stop centers for survivors of violence works in the US vis-a-vis something I have engaged in the policy level. So the selection of your research really matters, and the interest from the faculty abroad who you are in touch with, and what do you gain from collaborating from that faculty member, from that university. What does Fulbright want you to do once you come back in the country? These are very, very important things for you to think about before you as you go into the journey of applications. And one of the things I would also want to reiterate is, reference letters, like for instance, selection of your referees, very, very important. They have to know your research, like Raju said, but they also have to really give you very good and, a very positive kind of references. Sometimes, as we grow in our career graph, we often feel that, our mentors or our, well-wishers will always give good recommendations. But, once I was applying for something else and I didn't end up applying, and so I was reading through some of those applications, the references which have come, and one of my mentors had written lovely recommendation, but in the end, she had written something which could have been looked at in a very critical lens, So these are self-learnings. I don't think they meant anything bad. They had all their well intentions, but you should know who to approach, and that is very, very crucial for this, at least. Application process, I would think that if you get a letter from the host institution, please, please, please attach it, because that really helps. The interview process, I think I had some 11 people in our interview panel. They had already told us that they will select only 2 people that year in gender studies. The other person who got selected along with me was a professor, gender studies in Delhi University. I used to work for a Canadian donor agency. It is a research agency at that time. So the questions were very theoretical as to what you want to do, what your aspirations are, why Fulbright, what do you want to come back and do? Do you want to stay back there? And how do you think this research will help you in your work back in India? So it was very clear. Then, and these are the things you need to prepare when you are, preparing for your interview. There will be a pre-departure orientation where they orient you on everything once you get selected. I'm not getting into the selection process and all of that. As Raju's already mentioned, they let you know, and then the interview happens, and then they let you know, and then there'll be a pre-departure orientation. And that is the time you actually meet Fulbright scholars from all the different types. For instance, MAs, MPhils you don't have, MAs, PhDs, postdocs. There is a very senior, distinct scholar kind of fellowship for Fulbright also offers. So you get to meet everybody. You also understand, you start creating your network, who is going where, you get in touch with people, those kind of things. One of my learnings has been that, while I was writing to the professors abroad, and I zeroed in on the university and where I wanted to work, and once I got the letter from there, though it was just submission of my application, I started to really do some background check on where to stay, what to do, who are the people I should get connected with. The professor nodal point in the US is a very, very, what do I say? Very important person to really connect you to others. My professor was really very, very, positive about the kind of work I was doing. And not only the work, she really made sure that, I was connected to others who are linked to my research. I got enough space to really do a lot of background work on what actually is going on in terms of field work. I got work to do a certification course for myself on counseling, which was really good. I got some time to also teach. And I think the best part in my experience of Fulbright was a publication in a global, my supervisor was taking out a global book on women's movement globally, which she takes out every year. And that year I wrote the chapter on India, and I think that has really helped me to put my, my ideas, my learnings together, and that really helped me in my journey. Uh, Again, this is something which, I've learned the hard way. And I always think that you should always request for more references. Sometimes, our mentors, our professors, they are very busy. They can't meet those deadlines in time. So it often happens that we have to handhold them through the entire process. This I have already explained to you. You select the one which works for you. Guide your referees to upload the references in the system. Some of my references did not know how to do it, though it is not like it is not done that you would. So I had to guide them over phone. Because they were not very savvy with how to do it, how to upload it online and things like that. So you might want to, but because it is a closed door process, the emails just come to to the people you have mentioned will provide you with the references. This may or may not happen with you, but since it happened to me, I mentioned it here. And the other thing is your references have to know your work very well, your research very well, your why you're doing the Fulbright at what part of your career very well, so that, they write the reference accordingly. And definitely the host institution which is sending you has to give you a very, very good recommendation. So, one was IDRC, where I used to work, and the regional director was an academic and a PhD. And I think he really encouraged me to do my postdoc, and my PhD supervisor, Professor Zoya Hassan. So people have to know your work to give you that recommendation. And about, for me, I think the experience was really interesting because I found this fellowship really flexible. There was a time in my career where I just could not follow their timelines. So I deferred it. I asked Fulbright, I got the Fulbright fellowship, and then I said, okay, I can't join this month. Can I join after 6 months? And they were okay with that. But for that to happen, you have to get an okay from your US university, from the professor who's the host institution in the US, and it happens really seamlessly. For me, as I said, I've already kind of talked about, why I went for my postdoc. But I just wanted to say that this is something which you need to decide on, what your postdoc in the US is going to help you in your own career trajectory. And I can tell you that, after I came back, I was working in a leading women's rights NGO, which is, which is known in the world of research. And I worked there for 3.5 years. And then for a year, I worked with the DC office, the Washington, DC office, as a consultant. Throughout COVID, I actually worked as a consultant for 2 years. And, a lot of my consultancies came through the kind of networks I have built over the years. And I think, meeting a lot of people who are doing the same kind of work really helps you grow your network. And the other thing I wanted to say is that
Follow me.
I had
Follow me.
mentioned, yeah.
Sorry, just last 1 minute to conclude, and then
Yes,
we will
yes,
have
yes.
more
Yes,
chance
yes,
to
yes.
talk. Yeah, sorry.
Definitely. So, for instance, two things I wanted to say. When I meant that Fulbright is very flexible, they had written to me, I wouldn't get a degree because it is Amherst College, right? A college cannot give you a degree on postdoc, because postdoc is not available, right? But I was very clear I wanted to work with this professor, and it did not matter to me. Second, Fulbright wanted me to come back and have a public meeting of dissemination at the American Embassy. And we invited around 500 people. I created a panel and talked about my experiences in the US. And of course, learned from others who were also called from the Fulbright network, which I think is an amazing thing, to be a part of. So with that, thank you so much. And I think that's it.
Yeah, thank you, Palomi and Raju both. And so we have so many interesting points you both have raised and share with us. So before we start for question answer session, let me make a small announcement. So I have posted a survey link, like feedback link in the chat box. So please, all the participants, take it so we know that what you're thinking about and what's your suggestion for the future event. So I would really appreciate your feedback, number one. And if you have any question, please, you can raise your hand or you can print your question in a chat box. I would try my best to read and cover all. So yeah, take your time. But yes, so there is no question so far. So let me take opportunity because I have so many points taken from your presentation. So I would like to both of you. I would like
Sorry,
you both
I
to.
can't, I'm really sorry. I can't stop my screen share for some reason. Can you do it
Okay, no
from your
problem.
end?
No problem. I will
Stop
do it.
share.
Don't
I
worry.
got it. I got it. Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. Yeah. So I would like to point out one quick low hanging fruits. And that would be, if you can pinpoint one by one, do's and don'ts. Because I mean, do's might be a long list, 5, 10, 20 things. But if you specifically focus on don'ts, that would be really, really helpful to our participants and those who are aspiring for the Fulbright Fellowship. So please, one by one, please focus, or if you can pinpoint 2, 3, 5 don'ts, that would be great.
Okay. I think the most important thing is to be as genuine as possible. And the deciding factor in the doctoral program is basically to tell them as to why do you think there's a need to go to the US for you, and how going to the US will help you advance your research project. So in my case, as it happened, I work among the Valmiki community in Mumbai. And there was a faculty in the US who has done his research extensively on the Valmikis of Lucknow and Uttar Pradesh very broadly. So in my research proposal and in the interview also, I've mentioned it very clearly that there is a faculty who works very close to my research area. And I think if I get the opportunity to come to the US, it will greatly help me to write a better chapter. It will help to advance my research. So for the postdoc, I'm not very clear, but for the doctoral, I'm sure that you have to somehow convince them, show them that, okay, these are the 2, 3 points why I have to go to the US and why that will help advance me my research. That is a one thing. And second thing, I've seen people, students who are in hurry to apply for the fellowship. That is not one should avoid. So the best thing is to complete the fieldwork, but also to keep in mind that if you apply in 2023, you will go in 2024. So there is a 1 year gap from application until you land in US. So if you think that by interview or even after 1, 2 months after interview, if you will be done with the fieldwork, I think that is the best time for you to apply. Because in interview, they will ask you questions which will be from your fieldwork. They will also ask you theoretical framework. So unless you are very clear about your field, I mean, for the theoretical part, we might not be very clear, but for the field part, we have to be very clear. And they could get to know that, okay, if the fieldwork is not complete, we might not be able to answer the question. So your fieldwork is done, and you have to give 2 or 3 very strong reason as to why going to the US is very essential for you to advance your research. So these 2 things matters most, and these are do's.
Palome, would you like to add something or from your
Yeah,
experience?
so I think, yeah, I will just, you know, I would just like to address, the question on linkage to US. And also there was a question for postdoc. I would think that that is the basic first thing which we all need to do if we want to do the postdoc fellowship. Why Fulbright? There are many scholarships. If you just look at the US scholarships, there are so many prestigious scholarships. I mean, Fulbright is there, but it is not the best. But why Fulbright, that is number one. Why the university you want to go to? Why is the faculty you want to go to? Like, I'll give you my example. We were political science students, and we have read this person from, graduation to MA, MPhil, we've read this person. I always thought that, academics are difficult, but at that point, I felt, I could just write to this person and figure out, that this is what I'm working in. Would it be interesting to you if I come and work on this area? Because this is what I want to understand from the US. What is happening in the US that will really help me to build my research and my work. And I think we always shy away from taking that step. Why should we approach people, because we want to? But I want to tell all of you that please go ahead and do it. I wrote to 15 faculty members in colleges which were really like, these were my dream college universities, dream professors. And I think out of 15, 7 faculty members wrote back to me. And some of them still keep in touch with me because they were like, okay, so we know each other, we know each other's work. So, in academia, I think there is that reciprocity. If you reach out, someone will reach back, like connect back with you, with what is possible, what is not possible. Also, the person I reached out to and why it worked out for me. I'm really out of the box example. Not all postdocs happen like that. This is a very senior faculty. She was the chairperson of 5 colleges gender studies department. She negotiated my entry and said that, okay, this person is coming here, this is her research, she is going to help us with this, we are going to help us with that. And it was all documented in a paper and sent back to Fulbright, to me, and to the department, and everybody agreed, and it happened. So you should never assume anything कि bhai, this is what is written, so I'm not going to do it. No, please write to faculties abroad, to places where you want to go, things you want to explore. That's how things will happen eventually. Really.
Yeah.
I never
Thank
thought
you.
you would write back to me. Yeah,
Yeah,
thanks.
yeah. Thank you, Palome. And whatever Palome said, I completely agree with that because I've been here in US and particularly on campuses for more than 13 years. And this is one of the most significant factor, which makes a huge difference in your career or your higher study aspiration. So do not feel hesitation or you don't feel like, okay, whether they will reply or not. Just try to approach and frame your research, your point, your future study aspiration in such a way that they really, I mean, impress and they should respond in from that attitude. So let me take the another question. This is from Suresh. How we position our research proposal for postdoc? Is it we need to have US context in our proposal? Anyone would like to address this?
Yeah, I think it is always recommended that you do. Otherwise, why US? You can go to Europe to do your postdoc. So either it has to be something linked to a academician who has worked in your area of interest, or it is the institution where you want to go. There's a particular library you want to work on, because a lot of documentation related to your research is only available in that particular geography. Or for me, which worked was at the policy level, what is the connect? I really wanted to understand what's going on in the US vis-a-vis what is happening in India. So for me, it was very clear. It need not be that out there, that connect, but the connection needs to be there, definitely.
Raju, anything you would like to add, whatever Palome said?
Yes, of course. As I said that before even applying, I know a faculty in the US who was in constant touch with me. I was sharing his work. So it's always good to have someone who could write for you a good host letter, who could supportive of you, who can encourage you. Uh, uh, and in times, as Paulomi also mentioned, could also possibly fight for you so that you can get this fellowship. So it's always better to write to faculties without hesitation, and most of the time they do write back to you. For instance, when I wrote for host letter, I wrote to around 5 faculties, and 4 of them wrote back saying that okay, they want to give the host letter, out of which I took. And by the deadline I was able to get collect two letters. So write to them and get in connection. So it's always better to make a plan. For instance, if you're in a second or a first year of PhD, try to make up some kind of planning. Okay, so this is a kind of parallel network or a faculty or a student that I want to be in touch with. These are people in my field. Share them, I mean, try to contact with them, tell them about their idea, discuss them about work, read their paper. I mean, there are certain ways to reaching out to faculties. One of the best ways is to read their work and tell them how their work is of interest to you, and how their work is helping you to understand it more, kind of that way. And that's how you build network with faculty. And then over a period of time, just write to them saying that I'm applying for the Fulbright fellowship. Would you be okay to give me a host letter? I'm sure they will agree for it.
Yeah, thank you, Raju. And honestly, I've been associate mentoring over more than a 1.5 decade, and this is one of the most important critical thing, particularly first generation students and students those who are coming from low cultural capital. They have hesitation, okay, and they don't understand the significance of writing to faculty and showing your research interest and building that network. Because uh, in India the network works differently. Here, network works differently. In India, it's more like in a corrupt way. Here, it is more in terms of your personal rapport and how uh, sort of you can sell your research and your ideas and how passionate about your work. That works so well. I would say more than your credentials or GPA, like grade point or percentage, but your personal rapport and passion works a lot. Okay, we have uh more question. One is like very specific. So sorry, I have to avoid it because no one is from business administration. Second is about in your personal statement when we write about our social experience and family history, shall we upload the proof of that? I think no. They don't ask for this kind of proof, right? Because it is not bureaucratic. To apply postdoc, how many articles need to publish? Is there any mandatory number or has to publish under any specific journal? Would you like to address one by one?
So, yeah. So I just wanted to add one thing to what we were discussing before. I think again, linked to the assumption question, I think faculties in the US, they are they know and they are aware of the Fulbright Fellowship. So they know what, and this is not the first year that students from various countries are writing to them, right? And definitely a lot of us actually write to faculties who have worked in India or are, whose research is based in India. So please think of it from that angle that, I think faculty will respond because it's also of their interest, because it's a two-way exchange and a two-way learning process, and it's not really top down. So it really works. And the second part I wanted to talk about is about your publications. No, not at all. Like, you don't need to have a specific number of publications to show, even in your applications, for instance, so it's okay if even if you have one publication, it's okay. But they just want to know whether, firstly, your research idea is unique, that nobody in your field is actually thinking of the connections you are thinking of in today's day and age, where a lot of work is going on in your area of work. So how is your research unique? How is your involvement with a faculty or a university in the US very unique? How is it going to really showcase the US government, because it's a US government fund? Okay, so it also makes sense. Like, now I really work with the US government on another level, and I feel that maybe sometimes it's good to know that what does the US government want to invest in terms of research, which I said every year they actually change the disciplines which they want to invest in. So please look into those criterias as well. Thanks.
Raju, would you like to add something?
Yeah, even for the doctoral program, I remember like very few of us had even at least one publication. Most of us had no publication at all, because you've just come out of field work. You have no time. You're pushing hard to your faculty, your supervisor is pushing hard to write you chapters, so you don't have time to even do publication. So in my case, what happened is that I utilized some data from COVID and I was able to write. It was apart from my PhD research. That's how I could be able to present one research paper. But of course, publication is not the deciding factor. The only thing that decides is your proposal and the ability and the need that you show in the application and in the interview, that why you have to go to the US and how it will advance your research project. That is the only ultimate deciding factor.
Yeah. Here I would like to add one interesting point, probably This is slightly different, but let me share my experience because currently I'm working as an assistant director of inclusion and engagement. And my office, we administer two big fellowship, one in science and one in non-science. That fellowship is mainly focuses on domestic students, so US students, but also some very few also offer to international students. So based on my own experience as an assistant director, one thing this is for all the participants to keep in mind, which is very new concept to Indian students or in India, about how you will frame your identity, which is might be connected with your research, right? Because here we are talking about the broadly first generation Bahujan, low cultural capital, low income background student. So please try to read and gain more knowledge about that particular uh, department or college or university, how they frame diversity, like diversity in terms of what they are emphasizing on. And that could be, I'm not saying that should be, but that could be a part of your statement, or that could be part of your email also. Because this is a very, very interesting point I'm mentioning you, that you can also frame your, not directly, oh, I'm coming from this. No, it's not like certificate. Okay, this is not a, here, I'm sorry for my language, here there is no reservation, but there is a diversity kind of a concept, where you can frame your identity, which is based on your lived experience and definitely connected with your research or research proposal, that you can frame into your application material. And that will help you a lot, and that will certainly impress as an international applicant to the, either you are writing an email or you are framing your material to the committee. That will certainly help you a lot. This is, I'm sharing my personal experience and secret also, because I have been reviewing application material and so on, and I'm part of the committee also. So this should be, you keep in mind, educate yourself and do more research about that particular university, particular uh, department, and the particular faculty.
Thank you, Bharat. That was really good. I just want to add one thing because I think there is a question again. I think this entire thing about what do we write when we write to the faculty, right?
Yeah.
So I think the most important thing, and I think Raju's already mentioned it, but basically to say that what is your research interest? How has their research in this particular field influenced you? How working with this person will help you in your it develop your own thing like as a mentor, and that how what do you have to offer to the department, to this person, like for me, I will want to give a little example. I think before I went for the program itself, we did not decide on the deliverable of what will happen after 1 year, but it was a something which we consulted with my supervisor, and we understood that maybe teaching or exchange or those kind of things will happen parallelly, but something like a publication will really help me and help her. So, and we came to a decision on that. But the idea of whether I could be the right candidate to help her with that, that actually started with the letter of exchange and interest, because I had already written that to her when I had written to say that this is what I can offer. And I did not have any teaching experience. I have had like mentoring experience, what do you say, guest faculty, but I have never taught in any university, right? So I'm a very unusual case, but that's what I'm saying. A lot of unusual cases also are selected based on a lot of other factors. So yeah.
uh, Raju, if you like, otherwise I would go to next question.
Yeah, it's again a request to all of us that please do apply. I mean, all the participants who are here, because when I in 2022, when I first opened their website, I saw, I mean, the website they have a list of candidates who were selected in the past 4 years. I could not find people from marginalized community named listed there. So I was very much demotivated that what's the point in applying when we don't get. But somehow my supervisor and I convinced myself that, okay, let's give it a try. And it happened. So let's forget what is there on the website. Let's give it a shot, and I'm sure it will work out as it worked for me, for Paulo, me, for all of us. I'm sure it will work for all of you also.
Yeah, thank you, Raju. And you reminded me a very good point that as we all, me and Raju both are talking about writing to faculty and contacting faculty and so on. So I would say even don't restrict to their research area only. Some faculties, might doing work in something else, but they are socially very committed, very progressive and liberal. Okay. So if you have that kind of personal info, I'm talking about the personal info, like this ex-faculty is keen in suppose anti-caste work or about social justice work or gender work, right? Then please contact them because that might, build relation with you. And on the basis of that kind of ideas, they might interested in your work and research and they might support you. Okay, next point is
So
there
I
any
just want
age?
to add, sorry, Bharat, just
Please,
want to
please.
add one thing from my experience. There were two other people who I really wanted to also work with, and they were doing cutting edge work on rape laws in US and things like that, and they were not responding to me for maybe a month and a half. And then I contacted my friend who was in another university, but she was doing gender studies, and I asked her because she knew this person, not in a personal way, but in a professional way. And I just told her that, look, I am trying to get in touch with this person. Can you write an introduction email? And her introduction email was very simple. Paulomi and me went to the same university. We did our PhDs together, and she wanted to apply and get in touch with you. This faculty member immediately wrote back to me. So sometime, and then when she wrote back, she said, I just did not find your email, like, because I did not know you. So I didn't open that email. So sometimes it also happens like that. And the second thing, most important thing, is the other side of you not really knowing which faculty, which university. Sometimes your research might be very unique. So what Fulbright does is that they will select 3 universities for you. They will tell you, okay, now you choose where you want to go. So, there you go. So that is the other thing. And age, I don't think there is any, I don't know, I don't remember actually. But for a postdoc, I think there was a clause that you have to apply 5 years after your submission of your PhD. So I went bang on my 5th year.
Yeah.
Yeah,
One more
go
point that
ahead,
I
Raju.
wish to highlight, Bharat.
Go ahead, please.
Yeah, there are many students who ask question as to how to know like which faculty to write, when to write. So what I did is that we have to just go through our reference list, our dissertation reference list, and we have to see in our research, we'll have 5, say, primary scholars with whom we'll be engaging. Then we'll have a 10 secondary scholars with whom we'll be engaging. Find out of these 15 or 20 who are based in the US and just simply write to them saying that, okay, this is what I'm working on and this is, I'm engaging with your work. That increases the chance. I mean, because there is some connection. Instead of randomly writing to faculty, there is some connection that we could say, okay, you are one of the primary person with whom my research is engaging, and that's why I want to come and work with you. That increases our chance and that increases the bridge. Yeah.
Let me take to the next level what Raju you said and Kolomi said. Even I would say now there are so many groups here in particular in North America, everywhere I would say, but I'm in North America, so I have more knowledge about that. So there are so many groups in terms of social groups, this kind of mentoring groups, those who are connected and spread out across universities, right? So you can also contact them directly and try to build relation with that particular faculty you are looking for, or try to build a relation with that. That also a very good sort of approach. And okay, age limit, yes. Regarding yeah, I would like to pinpoint one thing that in India we have a particular uh, idea and notion about application process. Okay, here that is slightly different. So please don't frame your mind from that lenses only, that okay, you need this proof or you need this a certificate and so on and so forth. Don't go in that. So I would say educate yourself about the process and document and so on, so you don't spend unnecessary time and your energy on those kind of ideas and paperwork. Uh, okay. Someone is asking, can we have email ID or contact info of speaker and coordinator. So I already posted the link in the chat box. So please give your feedback. So my contact info is there, and if Palobi and Raju they like, they can share their email ID here. Next one is, so Fulbright can delay the PhD we are doing in India. Sorry, I didn't understand. Okay,
So,
go
what
ahead.
happens, I'll just give you an example, but Raju might be better placed to answer this. So one of my contemporaries actually, I'm from JNU, Jawaharlal Nehru University. I did my PhD from there, and my contemporary actually got the Fulbright PhD. And then in JNU, we had something called 9B, whereby you can defer your PhD. So she actually used her 1 year, and her PhD was, she was an economist, and her PhD was really linked to some data sets which she wanted from America. So she used that extra time, but then because it fell into the entire system of submission of PhD, it was okay. So I don't know, maybe Raju, you're better placed for that question.
Can you repeat, I mean, in a short manner? I didn't understand fully how
So
it
the
was.
question is, can the Fulbright delay your PhD you're doing in India? So I said that in India, I took 5 years, but someone I knew did a 1 year, a fellowship to build on her own PhD. But the university I went to has a 9B option, which is like you can get an extension to submit your PhD. So it didn't delay it, just that it fitted into the system. So I don't know how it is where you are doing your you are in IIT, right? So I don't know how that works there.
So I think it differs from university to university. In IIT, there is no strict guideline about within how many years you have to complete your PhD. For example, if there is someone in whom university, if they are saying that you have to finish PhD by say 6 years, 6 years is very normal nowadays. So you can plan accordingly, and you can go for the Fulbright, say in the 5th year, and come back. And of course, as I said, there is an option that you can go only for 6 months also. It's not that you have to stay there for whole 10 months. You can go for 6 months, you can come back. For instance, I went only for 7 months because I wanted to come back and submit it as early as possible. So, and of course, just because of that, that it will delay or extend your PhD, that's not a good option to not go US for a year. I mean, you will learn more, you will get more connected, you will learn more about what your research is than by staying here in an environment where nobody is ready to talk, ready to help, ready to share their work with. So, I mean, all students are in India. We know how this dynamic work, the student power relations work, that even a person sitting in your same lab would not tell you that which conference is coming, where he is going. So it's always better to not think of all these things. Go to the US, spend a year, build connection, do your work, improve your work, present your work as early as possible, as many places as possible. I presented my work at 3 different universities. I also participated in a conference out of which a book chapter will come. So these opportunities will come on your way as you go there. So even in that case, if it extends your PhD by a year, I think it's worth giving, it's worth going.
Yeah. And one more thing, what Raji you said, like I would say beyond your academics and research and postdoc, this is my personal opinion. People might differ. You know, getting this kind of opportunity, whatever 6 month, 1 year, whatever, that could be the life-changing experience. I'm telling my own experience in my dissertation, which is like converted into book now, published last year. The big chunk of my dissertation is about my lived experience on this campus, UMass MS campus, right? How that transform my research, my life, and certainly the work I'm doing. So I would say the experience itself is unique, apart from your research and networking and so on. So I mean, see your postdoc or Fulbright fellowship from larger perspective about kind of different life experience you are going to have. Okay, someone is asking how does
Right.
bachelor GPA affect your chances to getting Fulbright PhD scholarship? I have a bachelor degree in electrical engineering with low GPA. Then I did master in social sciences with an excellent GPA. I'm applying for PhD in social sciences. Sorry, it's long.
So,
Yeah.
Bharat, I just wanted to ask you, I think there are some more questions in the chat, not in the chat, sorry, in the Q&A section. Can you open
Oh,
the
okay.
Q&A? Q&A?
Oh,
I
yeah,
think
yeah,
there may
yeah.
be
Sorry. Yeah,
something
I am
there.
just looking at the chat. Yeah.
Because I wanted to type, but I can't. So,
Okay.
yeah.
So,
So
okay,
the
okay.
GPA
Can we
question,
go ahead with the
yeah,
first one? What
the GPA,
I just
yeah.
read.
So the GPA question, I think, marks and score really does not matter as long as your proposal, your personal statement, your references, your letter from the host university, all of these things are important. And the merit of how good you are as a student, and how much marks you have scored, I mean, that is also there, but I don't think that is like the only criteria here. So, I would think please go and write really innovative proposals, write exciting research ideas which are really out of the box. Get someone to back you, from the US, from here, and I'm sure, these things will not really impact the application that much. Thank you.
Yes, because just to give my example, I mean, the college in which I did graduation, nobody in Mumbai knows about that college. I never scored first class in my 10th or 12th or any time. But that doesn't matter. With me, people who were gold medalists also went with me from LSR, SRCC, and all this. And I also went from a college where nobody knows in Mumbai itself. So, whether you're from what discipline, I mean, till graduation, I was in marketing and accounting. I did MA in development studies and PhD in sociology. So there is no connection at all. I never been first class student, never studied in a prestigious college except my master's in taste, but I got it. So these all things doesn't matter. What matter is that how Polomi said, how uniquely you position yourself and how you show that why there is a need for you to go and how it will advance your research.
Yeah, yeah. So, I mean, I would like to add, sorry, I'm probably taking much time, but I'm also sharing my experience. So here there is one concept I think every participant should know is like how you connect your theory and praxis. So what Raju said, marks and GPA doesn't actually matter much. I'm telling you that for sure. Because what Raju said, my trajectory is similar, Raju. Okay. Okay. But the thing is that how you are framing your research and what actually practice you are doing. So if some people are, are very good at research, but they don't have any kind of praxis connection, then probably some faculty, say each faculty has a different orientation about research work and their overall sort of academic context, right? So if you connecting your theory and praxis, theory means whatever research you are doing or proposal, and if you have any connection regarding that on the ground, like social work or activism or political activity, that really help you a lot. So that point should keep in mind.
Yeah.
Okay, I think just last couple of minutes and then we'll conclude. Okay, secondly, how do you make sure that you get into university of your choice or any good university?
So you have to give three preferences while you will be applying, and out of which, if you get selected, the first preference will be what you will be getting. So we have to be rest assured about where we'll go. It's our choice that we'll make sure. And even after selection, if you want to change the sequence, if you want to go, for example, the second your option, you can also go there. So it's not hard and fast rule. And in the application itself, it's you who has to give them the name. Okay, so this is my first preference, this is second, and this is third preference. So we have, it's everything is on our hand. It's not that we can't do anything, it's on our hand.
Yeah, I think probably anyone has a last question or something, please feel free. We have a last couple of minutes. Actually, I have so many points, but probably out of the context, so that's why I'm not raising those. Uh, Or if you could share a little bit briefly about the difference between public and private here, because in India we have a different concept and context. If you share the public-private difference and in terms of your Fulbright fellowship, that would probably helpful to some people.
Yeah, Paulomi, you may continue this one.
Yeah, so basically the Ivy League colleges mostly are, private colleges, universities. These are all available in Google, So what happens is that certain universities are really funded by the government. And if you know about the Fulbright program, it is really financed by the government of US, and they want to show that they are really anchoring this exchange program and really nurturing scholars across the world. So if you know that Fulbright is not only one way, so a lot of US students also come to these countries where they are getting applications from, and it is from all over the world. So it's a huge network. So obviously the first preference is for public universities where, like for instance, to give you an example, when they're sharing the faculty of or universities of 3 universities, okay, now this person has been selected in gender studies, they will actually reach out to the public universities. And then if 3 people from those universities will say, okay, you may send this person, then they will write to the applicant, which is me, to say that, okay, you did not send us any faculty invitation letter, so now we are proposing this. So that is the thing for us to understand how the systems work, but it's more or less that. But I think for you right now, it's most important to know which faculty you want to work with, and those are also things which you might be able to even maneuver that. So if you get a invitation letter from a private college, from a faculty, to say that yes, and that person can negotiate Fulbright to actually send that person to his or her or their college, then you never know. So I wouldn't think that, because my case, look at my case, they deferred my full, they agreed to everything I said. So my experience has been really fantastic in terms of flexibility from their end. But the issue is that you have to really write it down properly to tell them that this is working, this might not be working, will my application be not considered if this is the case, those kind of things. So communication should be open.
Yeah. And there's always a question about the English language. Like most of us have not studied in English medium school or in good colleges and all. So once you give the TOEFL exam after selection, and suppose if you do not get much higher marks, say 90 out of 120 and all, Fulbright will fund you for 1 month. You have to go to a university in the US of their choice, and for a whole 1 month, you have to stay with an American family, and then in a university where they will teach you English for a month before starting your program. And for that, you'll be paid also. So they will teach you English, they will pay you, and then only after that 1 month, then you start your fellowship. So there is nothing to worry about English. There is nothing to worry about all. It's all about how we tell that why I have to go to the US. Be confident, and that's the thing.
And about the TOEFL, I saw Madhusmita is written about that. Now, I took my TOEFL some 15 years back, okay? And TOEFL has like, when I think it is valid for 8 years. I don't even remember all this right now because it was really a long time back. And I would think, please don't prepare for TOEFL. Like, even if you've had English as second language, just go for it. Like, and the fees is not too much. I remember
And
15
Fulbright,
साल
you don't
पहले.
have to pay also.
No,
It's
I'm
Fulbright.
saying, like, if anybody wants to do it
Yeah,
before their final TOEFL, you can take 2 TOEFL exams,
yeah.
take one just for the experience. I mean, I don't remember, but the charge was really minimal. And And basically it's like a computer generated exam where you go and for 1 hour or something they'll have multi-choice questions in English, and then you have to write some essays also. That is the TOEFL exam.
Yeah.
They just want to know whether you can read, write, express in English. That's
Yeah. For example, there will be
Yeah,
some conversation happening between two people, and there will be question based on the conversation. Then there will be some paragraphs where you have to read and then answer the question. So it's not that you have to write long answers and all. It's all MCQ based questions. Yeah.
So now it is very expensive. Meenakshi has written it is 15,000, so it's quite a lot. So I'm very happy that they are doing this
Yeah.
Fulbright.
Hmm.
okay,
But
now
yeah,
we have to conclude. And um, thank you so much, Raju and Palomi. It was a wonderful discussion, wonderful presentation, and you raised so many interesting points. And lastly, I would just make a small suggestion or share my experience. I think at the end, your passion about your work and research, that will reflect clearly. Okay, TOEFL, and you don't know this and that, and I don't have a TOEFL yet. Okay, as Raju said, I never been a bright student. Okay, but your passion and your commitment will reflect. It will spill over beyond your paper, right? That would be that is my trajectory, and that is my sort of suggestion also to all. So if you follow your passion and if you're really committed to particular topic or research or area, that will help you. Probably it might take some time, as Raju and Pulomi said, it might take some time, but it will pay off. Okay, and I'm a live example of that passion and commitment. Okay, uh, so thank you so much, and please take that feedback form and give us your feedback about the session and future event. And thank you all, and thank you, Palomi and Raju, once again, and hope to see you again. Thank you.
thank you. Thank you, Bharat. Have a
Thank
good
you.
day.
Thank you.
Thank you, all of you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.